Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Winter Oastmania Grand Slam Tournament 2025. We're rolling right along this round of 64 weekend with another very exciting matchup for you here today. It is going to be Troyer taking on Dinki in this first round matchup. My name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth by none other than Nepigen. Nep, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, Sparky. It is actually my one of my few first times commentating. I'm kind of nervous, but I hope it's all good. How are you doing?
You'll be fine. I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Excited to get this matchup underway, as I think the players are officially in here, so we'll be getting this matchup underway before too long, just setting up some final things here. And it looks like they're already into the protects and bans, seeing Rice 1 and Rice 4 being protected by both the players. Dinki on that Rice 1, Troyer on the Rice 4. As the bans begin to come out, it looks like Troyer is going to ban out LN1. Unsurprising at the end of the day. I think a lot of the players in this round in particular are really targeting that LN1 ban. I think that slow coordination being a little bit too much to want to go into willingly here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially because like how LN release, especially when you're starting out, it's gonna be very, very technical, and you really have to learn a lot to really master LN release.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, in a map pool like this, where the maps are so short, there's not a lot of combo to go around on the LN picks in particular. Singular mistakes to basically spell the end of your entire run, as it looks like Dinki's gonna opt to ban out LN3 in response. So just full LN targeted hate. That's the other map that requires a little bit of coordination to make it through relatively unscathed. LN2 making it through, that density LN being like the lesser of all evils, at least as far as these two players are concerned.
I am quite interested to see if LN2 even comes out. I really wonder if these players, how they will be able to make it here, because LN2 it's not a very popular skill set in this skill set here.
Yeah, for sure. It's probably going to go by the wayside. You have the two hybrids as well that they can go into, but I feel like this is really going to be like gamble on the rice accuracy, just trust yourself, trust what you know. Like everybody in this, uh, at least in this first round, are super comfortable on these rice picks in particular, and it's really just going to be okay. What style do we want to go into that is going to give me the best opportunity to like out act my opponent? And it looks like Rice 2 is going to be the first pick for Dinki going into this match.
Oh yeah, especially because like I feel like with Rice too, usually that's stamina, but you still here it's only 2 minutes. So it's gonna be a lot of chances to take any lead if there's any chokes.
For sure. And it's one of those where this particular pick is like broken up streams where the snapping isn't like a straightforward like jump stream pattern. It has that like ebb and flow of how quickly certain patterns begin to rain down, and it can really throw you off if you're not expecting those snap changes, especially going from the 1/4 to like the 1/2 patterns. And as we get this map underway, we're probably going to see both these players opting to try and like sharpshoot that like 99.7 mark as like the benchmark for ensuring that they have the best chance of securing the point here.
Oh yeah, especially as we get into the opening intro here, we see Troyer actually have a really slight act lead here over Dinky. This Mace, I think if Troyer can be able to hold that footing he has here, I think he'd be able to inch out Dinky, but maybe not if he's going to drop a lot of grades.
Yeah, and that really is the margin in this first round, where it's like we know that most, if not all, the players in this round can swing a pretty decent FC run on most of these rice maps, but the thing is really going to set these players apart is how well can they mitigate the amount of 200s that they're getting, the 100s in like worst case scenarios, and heaven forbid that like a miss comes out from either of them, because that's basically going to spiral the performance to an unrecoverable state. And I'm noticing here it's like Troyer's on the right side, Dinky's on the left side, so we'll get those flipped around as this match progresses. So right now, it looks like Troyer was ahead. They picked up a couple of 200s, bringing them back down. Dinky now taking control by about 0.03% with about an eighth of the map left to go here. Can they go? Can they hold on here? It is slivers of points between the two of them.
Oh my god, Dinky will actually have to hold here. If any misses come out, I think the lead is going to go straight back to Troyer, but fortunately he is able to keep that footing.
Yeah, it manages to close it out here. The miss actually coming out from Troyer. Didn't even notice that during the run. And Dinky gonna pick up their first point in this match to make it 1-0 to start this one off.
I am quite interested to see what Troyer will pick. I feel like with that miss, he might be a little bit inconsistent compared to Dinky. So we may have to see perhaps some longer maps come out if Troyer wants to play to his fundamentals here.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, just waiting to see what Troyer decides to go for their first pick overall. Not a bad run by any stretch of the imagination, just unfortunate to find that one drop that really set the tone for the rest of the map. Shouldn't really dissuade them from going for something like Rice 1, but to be fair, I mean, with the rest of the Rice pool as wide open as it is, they're going to have to go for Rice 4 and opting for a bit of Korjak to start this one off.
Or Korjak would be pretty nice, except I feel like Korjak is pretty easy to choke, so I'm pretty interested to see how this is gonna play out for Troyer here. But if it is his pick, I think it should be one of his best picks for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're really splitting hairs when it comes to the margins that the players have with regards to their performances. And this is basically going to be like the most contentious pick throughout this tournament because of the fact that it feels like baseline understanding for a lot of the players in this tournament is like, can you play core jack? And if you can play core jack, how high can you push the BPM before things really start falling apart? And this is a very comfortable BPM for a lot of the players in this tournament. 121 BPM, not a lot of really fast patterns. The bursts here and there can maybe catch a couple of players out on occasion, but this is one where you really just want to hunker down, settle into a groove, and just trust yourself when it comes to what you're playing.
This is going to have to be a very fundamental battle, I feel like. Especially with the accuracy versus consistency I'm seeing here. Especially in the first map too.
Yeah, for sure. So right now, just trying to sort out some lobby logistics, make sure that the players are in their right spots. We don't accidentally start hyping up a player incorrectly, because that's the last thing we want to do. So gonna get that sorted out real quick before we get into this Rice 4, and we can start confidently being able to say a player is in the lead or not when it comes to their overall performance. And without further ado, got that sorted out, and we should be good from here. Alrighty, so the good luck, have fun's coming out here. MP Start command comes out as well. We are into the second map of this best of 7. First player to 4 points will be moving on to the next round in the winner's bracket. Loser not out of the tournament just yet, but gonna need to make the run in that loser's bracket.
Very, very slow intro here. The accuracy pretty much just tied here, but Dinki's still with the accuracy lead. But again, I don't think it means anything right now.
For sure. We're really gonna, once we start seeing like the 3-column jacks start to run down the chords, get a little bit denser, we'll start to see a bit of a discrepancy. And really what it's going to come down to is who can keep the bursts in between some of these longer anchored sections on the outer column as clean as possible. Right now, Troyer ahead by the tiniest of margins. This can flip in an instant. This is still basically a game of inches. There is very little separating the two players as we continue on into the second third of the map here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially I noticed that Dinky did drop a few perfects on the LN here. I feel like that may open up potential hybrid or even LN picks if Troyer is going to really gamble that here, but that is commentator point of view, so I'm not really sure if Troyer would be able to notice here. He may just have to keep playing fundamentals.
Yeah, for sure. With these opening exchanges where you're making that first pick, try and count as much as humanly possible. You really just want to go into your comfort, don't really leave much up to the chance. And if you can maybe eke out a break point before the match gets towards like the crucial picks where somebody already has like a match point situation, then you can maybe start to explore a little bit. But with a best of 7 format, it's really hard to get adventurous, so can't really blame the players for opting to go for basically just all Rice picks as it stands so far. And with a quarter of the map left to go, Troyer's still holding it down. Dinky not too far behind, 0.1% separated 2 players, only about 2,000 points, but that is enough of a margin to keep Troyer ahead for now.
I'm actually I'm pretty surprised with how Troyer is really be able to hold that consistency in his accuracy here. 99.93 throughout the entire map. And Dinky just only 0.1% accuracy ahead, but both of these players are really, really consistent. It's really just all about that fundamentals here, and Troy really playing out to that.
Yeah, clean 997k V1SS, basically having the ratio of Dinky. Not really much they could have done there. Maybe hope for a couple of 200s to maybe put a damper on the performance, but about as perfect as you can get. All you could ask for Troyer to even this up 1-1 now, with Dinky up to pick once again.
I feel like with how consistent these players are, it really may just come down to strategy around here.
Hmm. It might really come down to which of these two players is going to want to venture away from the rice picks, because they're pretty evenly matched outside of the one drop on Neanderwall. There's very little separating them, and if they're really going to duke it out on these rice picks, they're going to run out sooner rather than later. There's only 5, and there's what, a potential of 6 picks to be made, so somebody's going to have to break sooner rather than later, and not going to do it now. Rice 1 is going to be the pick here from Dinki.
Oh, I feel like Dinky's trying to go for more Trilly approach, especially with Troyer's break on Rice 2 earlier.
Yeah, maybe a potential weakness, just a bit of inconsistency, but as this match has gone, I mean, you take those tiny openings. Maybe later on down the line, something like Rice 5 could potentially open itself up. Has some segments that can get pretty trilly, some alternating snaps, but very much sticking to the 1/4. Some interesting bursts as well, but this is overall a very straightforward pick. Just, can you handle the speed element required to make it through this map? Can you be the guy if you double S?
Oh yeah, especially with like how Rice won, it's very, you have to build up a very solid foundation here and really get into the groove in Rice 1 picks, especially in my experiences here. It's always all about the consistency.
Similar to what we saw earlier in Rice 4, you just kind of gotta dial in to the rhythm. Nothing really changes. A couple of jumps here and there, but outside of that, once you go, you really just gotta let yourself go. And through this opening exchange, players gotta build up to that 400 combo cap before we can really start to talk about any accuracy discrepancies. But as it stands, within 0.1% of each other, as we have been seeing, the margin for error is so small on these rice picks so far.
Really just waiting for the chorus here just to see if there's any sort of inconsistency here, because I feel like any inconsistency will swing the lead back to any of these players' fields here.
Yeah, and as we make our way to the halfway point of the chart, we see these tiny little LN sections begin to break up some of the 1/4 streams. Not the hardest in the world to navigate, but definitely a point of contention. If you pick up a couple of extra 300s on them, it can make a world of difference as we see the accuracies begin to tie up here. Now within, what, 0.03%? They're playing tug of war with this leaderboard. It is hundreds of points as the judgments begin to rain down. For every 300 swings it back to one way, and it gets traded back immediately thereafter. A third of the map still left to go, and it is all to play for here as we continue on. Troyer making this very hard for Dinky to try and maintain this pick consistency.
I really did notice like Troyer did drop a grade though, so Dinky really needs to hold onto his consistency here. But with the map really shrinking down to in time here, and the gap really just still flickering, it's anyone's game here. It's just a matter of, can these players hold their footing?
Yeah, all eyes on Troyer, now ahead by about 0.5%. It is fine margins here all the way down to the end. 1,200 points. Can they hang on? They do, and they manage to secure the first break point in this match by a margin of, what, 1,000 points to make it 2-1.
Only 1,000. It really is just a battle of the inches here.
Indeed, it is. And Troyer now ahead with an opportunity to make it 3-1 if they make the correct pick here to really push the advantage. Now they can maybe get adventurous with this next pick.
I feel like Rice 3, Rice 4, Rice 5. Unless Rice 3 is already picked.
Yeah, you got Rice 3, Rice 5, and while we wait for Troyer to make their next pick, this was indeed a doubleheader. We have another match going on at the moment. It is currently Era Ya versus Soul Moss. Not able to show that one because concurrent. But as it stands, it is currently 3-1. Yeah, in the lead for the moment. We'll keep you guys updated on that one as this match continues on, as we wait for Troyer to make their next pick. And it's still up for debate what they want to go for. And it's going to be, wait, Hybrid 3. There's no Hybrid 3 in this pool.
I think he tried to pick the tiebreaker.
Yeah, just pick the tiebreaker. Let's skip the proceeding. Let's get this back and forth over with. We're both evenly matched. Let's just go to tiebreaker. Unless they meant Rice 3, but I don't know how you get HB out of RC. They think there's Hybrid 3, but if they meant LN 3, that's banned.
I think they're opting for Hybrid 2 actually instead.
Yeah, maybe 2. Okay. Thankfully, a all Spanish speaking lobby, which is great. Our referee able to kind of play the mediator here in determining what's going on. I can read Spanish too, but thankfully I don't have to employ that for the moment. So Hybrid 2 going to be the pick here for Troyer. And our first venture away from the Rice. Arguably the easier of the two hybrids, very much a ranked style chart, very straightforward. There's 2 sections that are going to be interesting to watch. There are some very minute SV teleports that, if you're not expecting them, prime bait for an early hit.
Oh man, I wonder how these players would be able to adjust that SV, but if it's pretty minor, there shouldn't be anything here, maybe except for a few act drops, but they should probably expect it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely the least sight read friendly map in this pool outside of maybe the tiebreaker, but outside of that, I mean, long LN anchors with the other 3 columns doing stuff, typical ranked style things going on. Not the hardest of maps, a couple of interesting bursts that the players have managed to navigate very well. Dinki actually picking up a couple of early 200s for the road, it looks like, down in that mid 99% range. Gonna need to begin to pick it up as the map progresses. Still early going, so road to recovery pretty easy overall, but it does give Troyer quite a bit of a advantage in the grand scheme of things here.
Oh, I just saw that SV.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to have to... Sorry, go ahead.
No, let's say definitely can catch you out, but Troyer actually dropping the first LN, the first slider break, and the first miss, well, second miss from them this match, and it's going to give Dinki the lead right back here. Just crossing that 400 combo cap is going to be able to take full advantage of that, stretch this out as much as humanly possible. But that being said, still with an accuracy discrepancy, so not as many points bled over as one might expect, but a lead nonetheless with half the map still left to go here.
Yes, it was especially huge for Dinki because he really had that accuracy drop. Troyer actually had that accuracy advantage here. So Dinki really being able to find more out of that miss here, it's really just a matter of can he hold his footing. But no, he doesn't actually, with that equalizer of his own. And now Troyer being able to chase down Dinki, taking that score lead back, creeping back to his side.
Yeah, 8th in the map still left to go here, well above that 400 combo cap. Gonna be able to take this lead right back, so no harm, no foul at the end of the day, but needs to be able to maintain the consistency through these last couple of little intricate LN patterns, and they managed to hang on. So scares for both players, but Troyer able to successfully capitalize on that breakpoint at the end of the day, the better ratio overall, and able to make it a match point situation now. With Dinki have to pick one more time.
That lead, all in that accuracy too. If I was a player, I would be really scared with Troy here. What is the seed again?
17 to 48.
17. Okay, I am very, very scared for 16 and above.
Yeah, definitely got to watch out for them. But that being said, I mean, 2 misses to their performance so far this match. Very minute things that they might need to clean up if they want to progress further into these rounds. But that being said, there's still a match to play. Dinki's not out of it by any stretch of the imagination, and they're going to opt to go for Rice 5 here to try and right the ship a little bit.
Rice 5 is pretty truly, no? I feel like Dinki's just trying to play to his inconsistency here.
Indeed it is. So very much a jump stream-esque pick. There are a couple of rhythmic oddities that can be found throughout, but overall, pretty much plays like a broken jump stream pick, so very comfortable overall. There are a couple sections to watch out for. There's some interesting 1-6 burst that happen very infrequently. I think there's like one patch that could catch the players out, and I think that's what Dinky's hoping for, given the performance from earlier from Troyer, where they did find that break and Dinky was able to capitalize. So we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, especially with Troyer here, I feel like he is kind of inconsistent on these trills too, as we did see grades drop come out in a little bit more trilly sections.
Yeah, with this map as long as it is, I think the longest rice map for sure in this pool, 3.5 minutes. Bit of a stamina check, bit of a consistency check, and overall, just a test of overall composure, because the early going is probably going to be pretty comfortable, but once you start getting to like that 3 minute 15 mark, and there's a really nasty barrage of 1/4 jump stream at the very end. It could really fall by the wayside, and it's prime opportunity for catch up if one of the players finds themselves behind, just bleeding 200s towards the end. But as it stands, strong starts for both the players. So imagine we're gonna see a bit of parity between the two of them as they make their way to that 400 combo cap within a tenth of a percent once again, as it has been on these rice picks. Just overall very solid from both of them, given everything that we've seen so far. A couple of hiccups here and there, but overall, very clean as we continue on to the second quarter of this chart.
Oh yeah, especially with how, given the map, if the difficulty is all really in the ending, the solid foundation they're going to have to build really matters a whole lot going into that section. But both of these players really just basically equal here. It's all going to come down to the end.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, there is a couple of trip up points halfway through the chart, but with the way these two have been playing, just kind of dialed in for right now, hanging in and around this 99.8 mark. There's very little between the two of them. It's once again a tug of war with the leaderboard every 300, kind of making little dents here and there. And there was one of the barrages. The LNs begin to rain down, but they're not the most intrusive. But it is an opportunity for players to pick up 200s if they're not too careful, maybe overthinking some of those release elements. But as it stands, the only player that really took damage in that section was Dinky, down into that 99.7 range now. Troyer's still ahead by the tiniest of margins, still within 1,000 points with half the map still left to go.
And we're heading into the break, a little bit of a break section here. Both of these players still really equal, just with Troyer just a really slight accuracy lead here.
Yeah, it can change in an instant. We start to see the alternating jump trill into the split trills handled very nicely from both the players as it stands. Dinky taking just a little bit more damage in the exchanges, just picking up a couple of extra 300s that Troyer doesn't seem to be picking up. As the UR bar is taking a look at those, it's like very much dead center, but just the occasional blips here and there either side.
Yeah, especially with Dinky, I think he actually is rushing these patterns a little bit more. I think that's what gives him these accuracy drops here with these slews of perfects.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Just trending just a little bit more towards the left, especially with a quarter of the map left to go. We start to see the earlier hits, maybe starting to feel a little bit of a jitter, maybe wanting to rush just to ensure they're staying on top of the beat as it stands. And Troyer really taking advantage. Now the lead about a full tenth of a percent as we start to see a bit of a pull away now on the side of Troyer. 2,000 points was 1,000, and able to establish a bit more of a foothold through this outro. Still not over by any stretch of the imagination. There's still some pretty hard stretches of uninterrupted jump stream to read through, but as it stands, I mean, these players have been locked in for well over 3 minutes now.
Yeah, especially this map just seems like a race with their consistency, and as it turned out, Dinky really just losing a little bit of feel here. Troyer perhaps taking it if there's no chokes coming out of here.
And sure enough, Troyer does manage to see it through to the end. A couple of extra 200s, but that 300 count really paying off in dividends. A 4,000 point gap at the end of the day. And Troyer secures the match by a score of 4-1, knocking Dinky down into that lower bracket and securing their spot in the winners round of 32. Congratulations to them. Very hard fought match here.
Especially with yeah, Troyer really just like capitalized on his accuracy so well here.
Mhm.
It's just a little bit unfortunate for Dinky, just Troyer just having a little bit more fundamentals on the accuracy department here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I mentioned at the top of the match, it's like with round of 64, the pool's so much easier in comparison to what these players are going to expect, especially in comparison to like the qualifiers. And they were in lockstep with each other for large portions of this match, including those rice picks. So, I mean, it's those marginal differences that see you through to the next round in that winner's bracket. So, congratulations once again to Troyer. And that will do it for us for right now. I think the next match coming up uh, soon. We've got plenty more to come here as we see that I think the next one is going to be in about 11 hours. So pretty long gap between now and the next match. So we're going to go ahead and sign off for now. But until then, we'll catch you guys later.